Inside the Birds is back. What's up, everybody? It's the end of the week, and we got a game to preview. It's Geoff Mosher. It's Adam Caplan. It is our Inside the Birds podcast where we will preview Sunday's big game between the Eagles and the Browns. And to be honest with you, when you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you're 3-5-1, every game is a big game, including the Browns, who are actually 6-3, Adam. So this is odd. I don't know if anybody ever thought this year that the Eagles would be 2 games under 500 and the Browns would be 3 games above 500.
No, I thought they would be 7 or 8. I thought they would have 7 or 8 wins, the Browns, and obviously they're gonna beat that. And yeah, if you had it, you would think the records would be flipped. The Eagles would be 6-3, and the Browns would have a losing record. But it is what it is. We'll get into the matchups. Spoke to Brown sources, so I got some great intel on kind of their schemes and what they like to do. And we have some Eagles information to get through, which kind of popped up as you and I broke some news. Was that on Thursday? So we'll get into that. And the Eagles are in a good injury situation for a change. God, this is the best injury situation they've been in all season. It's week 11. We'll see if they bounce back, but we got some other things to talk about, including Geoff. Boy, do we have a great Inside the Birds television with the great Hall of Fame GM, Bill Polian.
Yeah, I thought we had a really good interview with Bill Polian. It's our second one since the start of the year. This one was a little bit more substantial, I think, because of what the Eagles are going through right now, and to talk to a 6-time NFL Executive of the Year. And look, we know some people are very mixed on their opinions of Bill, but I thought his insight, his experience as a GM who's reached the high of the high, but also has been through some lows. He had some really interesting things
As he talked about. Yeah, I was not expecting that because you asked a great question. And the thing about doing these Zoom sessions with Joe Banner, Bill Polian, other personnel people, and we got another one lined up. We're going to have a GM we've never had on before, a former GM, obviously. We'll have Banner on again, and then I got another GM. I got actually 2 GMs in mind. One I didn't share with you yet, but I will. Okay. You never know where the conversation is going. You never know how people react. Remember, Bill knows the Eagles. Why? He was a consultant for the Eagles coaching search in 2016, the one that obviously yielded Doug Peterson. So he knows the Eagles, and he had some great insight. And I can't wait. If you haven't heard it yet, it's now on pod version. We also put it on YouTube, obviously, and it's nice and short. It'll get you in and out in less than 30 minutes.
Absolutely. Of course, we've got Grilling the Birds up with Trey and Gunner. A lot of talk about accountability in that podcast. And, of course, Tales from the Blind Side with Jamal Jackson, Trey Thomas, and Todd Hermans is also up on the Inside the Birds YouTube platform and podcast platform. So make sure you catch them because each one has something a little bit different, some personality, some humor, but also some really good breakdown of the game. Speaking of good breakdown, we will be back at Goose Island Brewhouse on Sunday, normal time, 10 a.m., as we preview the game. It'll be myself, Adam, Greg Cosell, and Trey Thomas, the usual suspects who do the show every Sunday. So make sure you're catching us on either YouTube page, our Twitter page at Inside Birds, or our Facebook page, Inside the Birds on Facebook. So any one of those 3 platforms you can watch us on. You mentioned it, Adam. The Eagles have kind of been through it this week. They went through it last week with COVID and the coaching staff and the intensive protocols. Now, I don't know if a lot of people even know this because it's hard to keep up with everything. Yeah. But the NFL itself has implemented an intensive protocol regarding COVID for every single team that is supposed to start on Saturday, right? This podcast drops Friday in the morning.
Yeah.
It's weird that they said we're going to do this, but we're not going to start it for 3 days.
I don't know why. Yeah, I guess okay, because the teams that play on Sunday, their last meetings in classroom sessions are on Friday, and Saturday's your walkthrough where you don't. The coaches are the only ones that have meetings on Saturday, so it is what it is. But although I'm sorry, Saturday night is when they have the inactives meeting. And they go over, okay, who's going to be down, who's going to be up. You're finishing up the game plans. But, it was a little bit weird. But, look, this is a COVID world. We're all dealing with it, and it is what it is.
So the Eagles were in it this week ahead of the mandate because they had issues with players testing positive for COVID. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside tested positive for COVID. And then That's, as far as we know, I believe the only player who tested positive. But we have Vinny Curry was placed on the list because I believe of contact tracing. Running back Corey Clement was on the list, and Deontay Burnett was. I didn't even know this. I learned something new every day. Deontay Burnett was on the practice squad COVID list because he's on the practice squad. So those three guys will have to, I guess, wait and see what the status is. And John Hightower was someone that they did have concern about being a close contact, but apparently the concerns by late Thursday had been allayed, and he didn't go on the list as we originally reported that he might. He did not. So we can at least clarify and say he didn't.
Exactly.
Did I get all that right?
You got it. Great job, man. I don't have anything to add. So let's hope that these guys are available and JJ's okay. And now from a game planning standpoint, Clement I guess we have to talk about this. The Eagles agreed to a practice squad contract on Thursday afternoon with Jordan Howard.
Yeah.
This was, it's funny. You and I have been lamenting this since, I don't know, March. They need to sign a power back. And we know that they talked with Carlos Hyde's agent, and they were only going to play just above the minimum, and he didn't do that. Thursday night, he was playing for the Seahawks. He just came back from his injury, and the Eagles wanted him. Doug Peterson made it very clear that was going to be his guy to back up Sanders, and we all agree they needed a power back, just like they had with Howard last year. Well, let's move it forward. Jordan Howard next week will go to the practice squad. He's not able to practice this week because there's that 6-day acclimation period. But my question, Geoff, was this, and I did find out on Thursday night, what the hell happened with Jordan Howard in Miami? I mean, they're paying it. No matter what, if he doesn't play again this season, even if the Eagles wind up cutting him, he's making $4.75 million this season. That's a lot of change to walk away from.
Yes, it is. What was he averaging? 1.2 yards per carry, I think?
Funny you say that. It's funny you say that. This is how bad it was for Jordan Howard there. Chan Gailey, the offensive coordinator, made it very clear. I don't know if you noticed this, to start the season, and I don't know why he did this. He only had the guy for 2.5 weeks. He made him their goal line back. That was his only role. Scored a couple touchdowns early. But the feature back, out of nowhere, was Myles Gaskin. I'm like, who the hell is Myles Gaskin?
Yeah, and look who it is now. Now it's a guy I've never even heard of again because Gaskin's on IR.
Ahmed, yes.
Yeah, that guy, right, exactly.
Right. So, I mean, that's, that's where it is. And that's, kind of Jordan, boy, was he good for the Eagles last year. My God, that's what they give up, a 6th-round pick for him? Something like that? Yeah.
I mean, I think he was okay for them. I would, he missed the last
before he had the stinger, but overall,
I feel like he had a good game against Green Bay, and people have acted
Buffalo,
like he was. He won that one long run in Buffalo. Yeah,
they were pretty happy with him. I could tell you, they wanted him back, but they weren't going to pay him what he wanted. Obviously, they couldn't. They never made him an offer because he was getting what he was getting from Miami. That was it. So
right.
I just knew they liked him enough to bring him back, and here you go. So I would think, Geoff, now obviously you got the Clement situation. We have to make sure that he's back. Plus they missed Clement on special teams. They definitely could use a running back with size. And the thing that I don't understand with Clement, before we move on to very brief injury updates, they're very lucky, and then we'll get into the matchups because we got some good stuff there. I don't understand why they gave Clement one goal line carry, he scores. Could you get him more involved? I mean, really?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm not as bullish on getting Clement more involved. I thought they ran the ball well whenever they ran the ball. It's you don't need to get him involved just to say you got Corey Clement more involved. To give Miles Sanders a little bit of a breather, just throughout the game. He could bang it up in there for 3 to 5 carries, but they won't do that. And well, how about having a lead? How about having 2 touchdown lead?
Yeah,
in the fourth quarter?
Sorry, yeah, you're right. They need to actually have a lead.
I'm sure Corey Clement would be used if they actually had a lead. Yeah,
Counselor, you won. You got
what I don't understand is, I'm going to add to my counselor argument is, and we've talked about it before. Why do you have Elijah Holyfield on the practice squad as a banger running back, bruiser running back, and then bring in Jordan Howard? Because I'm wondering if they're going to elevate Jordan Howard because Huntley was inactive last week against the Giants. Right. So if they feel like they need another back, They're going to pass over Holyfield, bring up Jordan Howard. Then what is Holyfield even doing on your practice squad if you have zero intention of using him?
Good question. They have, when they really were down at running back, Sanders got hurt, and they clearly needed a running back. Size would have helped. They passed on this kid, Holyfield. So, and Bo Scarborough. It's funny. I guess we started a firestorm, I don't know, a month ago when the Lions cut him, and that I talked about on our show for 2 or 3 times about the Eagles he would fit what the Eagles needed in power back. They were not interested at all. Never brought him in for a visit. Never even considered it.
He must not check off the analytics boxes.
I don't know, but okay. But you say that. How does Jordan Howard do that? What does he?
I have no idea. He played here before, and
certainly
that's becoming a trend. By the way, they've got like 6 guys on the team that have gone and come back and played here.
Yeah, so I'm not buying your note there. I hear you, but I don't. Yeah. With Jordan, I think it's sort of outside the box. But remember, if you recall, Geoff, did he play 2 years for the Eagles or 1? I can't remember now.
Who, Jordan Howard?
Yeah, was it 2 years?
No, just 1.
Okay. I remember you and I. I'm sorry.
I mean, and he barely played a year because he missed so many games.
He had the stinger. But I do remember at the time of transaction, we called our bear sources, and they said, look, he was too finesse for us. He would not play up to his size. And obviously he got a little bit out of shape that 18 training camp for them. They liked him as you would point out, I used to laugh at this. You go, people need to stop it with he led the yardage numbers were.
He was like 3rd in the NFL in rushing for the last behind like Ezekiel Elliott and Barkley. Yeah.
Right. But they ignored his last year with Chicago. But anyway, okay. So we'll see if you have two times you get elevate him before you have to sign him off there, and then you'd have to waive him if you want to get him back to practice squad. But we'll see what happens. They won't be able to use him until week 12 at the earliest anyway. They'll get him into practice. They'll see what kind of shape he's in. They'll go from there. But as I was told, Chan Gailey did not think he was a real good fit for their offense, so they moved on. Period. End of story.
There you go. Well, he's back, and we'll see if he's elevated by Sunday for the game. That'd be pretty shrewd.
He can't be.
Yeah, you're right. He can't. He can't be elevated?
Yeah.
Okay. So he will not be able to play this week. Forgot about
Practice
that.
next week, though.
Yeah, definitely. Zach Ertz, what do we know about Zach Ertz and his potential return?
He's either going to be activated by Saturday to play or will be activated for the week 12 game. But so by the way, he went on IR week 7. He got hurt week 6 at home against Baltimore. He's heading into the 5th week. Remember, we reported it was a 4 to 6 week recovery.
6, right. Yeah.
So he's right in the middle. So he's close. So it's just a matter of how he looks in practice with these high ankle sprains. I was listening to Kyle Shanahan talk about they've had an inordinate amount of high ankle sprains. They've had like 6 or 7 players who've had them. He said his biggest concern is the setback with the high ankle sprain. You got to be careful. You can't let the guy come back early before you need him to. But I would say this, folks. Whenever Ertz is activated, just listen to what Bill Polian says about that. Boy, what he said about Ertz and Goddard surprised me. I don't want to give away, the lead here, but I was very surprised because, again, in this interview with Polian, he said some things which were very interesting. I did not expect him to say. I'm like, I maybe think about a couple of narratives that I had, and maybe they're not right, So, but of course, Bill's in the Hall of Fame, so you would think that would happen. Anyway.
You would think so, yeah. Well, they're not really getting healthier anywhere else, right? We know Craig James is on IR.
Yeah, he was the one guy. Yeah, he was.
Right.
It's weird. Like last week in week 10, they had 9 players listed on the injury report. Well, all 9 are off of it. 8 are not listed on the injury report at all anymore. And 1, as you said, Craig James went on injury reserve. The only guy, it's the Hightower thing of the 53-man roster. The only guys who were not on COVID that didn't practice were Hightower on the COVID list. Were Hightower and Rudy Ford. Who I'll tell you what, you take Clement on Rudy Ford off special teams. Just that's a note. We should probably note that there's 2 guys who do play on special teams.
That's true. All right, we're going to analyze this matchup. First, I'm going to tell everybody what we tell you all the time. Make sure you're checking out phlsportsnation.com, covering all 4 Philadelphia sports teams like nobody else does. Make it 5 with the Union. They do a great job enhancing the fan experience. They are for the fan, by the fan. That is their motto. So check them out@phlsportsnation.com. And on Twitter, you can find them at PHLSportsNation. And we're going to pause real quick now for a word from our other great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. Okay, Adam, before we get into the X's and O's, as I like to call you, Tropical Storm Caplan, give us a little weather update for this Sunday.
You know what, John Hanson?
Honestly, go ahead. I was going to say, in fairness, Cleveland's had to deal with a lot of weird, strange weather element games, including last weekend.
Brutal. It's brutal. Yeah. It's funny. Our friend John Hanson from FantasyPoints.com calls me the Rain Man. And he gave me he did prop me up. He goes, dude, you nailed that weather. I forget it might have been the Cleveland game. It was the Houston Cleveland game. It was really bad there. And I said to John, I said it's really funny. I usually for fantasy, I look at it, but I rarely will adjust my lineups due to weather. Mm-hmm. But I learned from talking to coaches. I always ask, hey, what impacts passing? Every quarterback coach I say to rain is a very little factor unless it's windy. Yep. If you add 25 to 30 mile an hour winds with rain, it's a bleeping problem.
And that's exactly what happened last weekend in Cleveland. And
hail, awful
wind and pounding rain.
But yeah, and it's funny. Believe it or not, the game that was actually worse was the game against the Raiders. That Jeff Carlson, that kicker of the Raiders, did a curveball. I don't know how he did it.
I remember
he went. It was like I was like, how did he do that? I mean, I saw David Akers do that once. Like, yeah, I guess he read the wind really well. So that game, the wind will not be a factor unless it changes. Of course, it's less than 10 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. But I've never seen this before. And the weather.com app is absolute money. I've used it for 10 years. In fact, I pay for the premium service, which gives me 5 days in advance. Big reason is I play tennis every morning, and I need to know for my week if I'm playing or not. Plus, you and I are doing so many different shows together. I need to know what my schedule is, and I need to know if I'm playing tennis, if I'm getting up at 5:30 or not. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I checked the Sunday weather on like a Tuesday, and it did show Sunday was going to rain. But the percentage has been 58%. Like it's crazy. All week it's 58%. It hasn't moved. So it's funny because for Wentz, for fantasy, I have him in 2 of my 7 leagues, and I really don't want to play him the way that he's played. It was funny earlier in the season when he was struggling, he was still good for fantasy. Now he's been awful. Yeah, I want to bench him, but Cleveland gives up production, which we're going to get into a second. So right now it just looks like rain, and no wind won't be a factor.
All right. Well, they're by the lake, so obviously the there's always a threat of rain, and it could change at any minute.
That was mentioned to me. Mm-hmm. One Brown source said to me, I didn't write it down. I wish this guy said, like, look, I hope we get it. He's talking the Browns. I guess one it's kind of like the Lincoln. One part of the link is that the wind comes in, but it's off the lake in Cleveland, so it's really it really gets bad when it's windy. It's 30 miles an hour. More, it's a biatch. It's bad. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the guy said, man, I hope if we win the toss, they figure out the win before the game, and they make sure they get it if they win the toss, which quarters they want to get. I thought that was kind of funny.
Now, can you name the lake? Do you know which Great Lake Cleveland is on?
Dude, I used to know. I know it, but I'm drawing a blank right now.
Can you name the 5 lakes, the Great Lakes in general?
Lake Michigan?
I won't do this. I won't. Yeah, Lake Michigan.
Yeah, I would, but I would get all of them. In fact, I could tell you the Monongahela. I could tell you in Pittsburgh.
No, that's a river in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I know. But I used to quiz people because being from Philly, like nobody knows anything about Pittsburgh other than me. Just with history and shit. I do, but dude, I'm exhausted. My mental capacity right now is shot.
It's Lake Erie.
Lake Erie, of course.
Yeah, Lake Erie. Now there's Superior, Erie, Huron, Michigan. And I actually forget.
Where is Lake Huron, by the way?
Superior, right? Lake Superior?
Yes. Where's Lake Huron?
Lake Huron is, I don't know, somewhere in that Great Lake regional area. Where is it? It's not in a state.
No. But I want to know. Tell me where Lake Huron is. Where's it tied in? Where's it tied into? If you know this.
I don't. Detroit?
We'll have it for you the next show. I actually know that, but
okay. Like Chicago is Lake Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. So, I don't know about that other one. I have to go
back.
Anyway,
let's roll.
Geography, yeah.
Who knew we were going to midterms on this goddamn show? Richard Lewis once said that. What is this, a midterm?
Let's talk about the Eagles' offense. We'll break down the offense first against what the Cleveland Browns do. Look, I believe they're a 4-3 type team, right?
I'm going to shock you with this one. I did not know this because I'm not watching their coaching tape.
Okay.
Do you know they play a decent amount of wide 9?
I did not. Is that
No,
why
I didn't
Myles
either. I
Garrett
was
has
like-
9.5 sacks?
What my that might and Myles Garrett he's been incredible. He's seriously, if he's not the best defensive player right now in the National Football League, he's certainly one of the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe Woods, the D coordinator of the Browns, came from the Niners, and remember, the Niners started running the wide 9 when Chris Kucera came in from Detroit. Well, who did Kucera work for? Jim Schwartz.
Jim Watt, yeah.
And I thought Kucera was coming here instead of Matt Burke, but the Kucera went to the Niners with Robert Saleh, and Eagles have Matt Burke, who's their D-line coach, and Joe Woods is running their defense. And they don't run as much as the Eagles do, but they do run a decent amount of it. And you're going to see some of that. So, folks, when you watch the game Sunday, look for that, because I was kind of blown away by that. It's not like breaking news, but I so few teams use the wide 9, the 9 front, the 9 technique. So it is what it is.
Now he'll be lining up mostly, I would think, opposite Lane Johnson, right? Because
exactly. Although they'll move him, they'll move him.
Okay.
The Browns think, it's funny. I don't know about you, Geoff. Depending on who you speak with, I got some teams who think Peters is finished.
Mm-hmm.
Some teams think that I talk to says, "Oh no, he clearly could still play." I'm like, okay, you and I talk about Peters every week, and some weeks he looks better than others, but. Look, they clearly think they clearly think that Peters still has something left in the tank here. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, they have a pretty good front line. I mean, it's not just Myles. They have Sheldon Richardson, who's been kind of he's on a different team every year, it seems, but he still plays fairly well. And
This
Olivier
65. Ogunjobi's a good football player. Larry Ogunjobi was drafted by John Dorsey. Sheldon Richardson, the way it was explained to me is he's clearly not the same player. He could still rush the passer. He needs to be rotated.
Mm-hmm.
Olivier Vernon, he was clearly near the end of the line here, but he still has some juice left.
Mm-hmm.
The game that they point out to me was the game that they played. They beat the Colts. Boy, did they get after Phillip Rivers. They were relentless.
Right.
And that's, you get what you worry about it, Geoff. The Eagles have 3 older offensive linemen, 30 years or older.
Yep.
That does worry me a little bit.
Sure. No. And look, I mean, if you remember, the Browns were a team that was thought that they were going to get Vinny Curry in the offseason. He wound up getting back to the Eagles. So instead they wound up, I think it was after they struck out on Vinny that they also signed Adrian Claiborne, who is, again, he's not great, but he's been around. He knows how to rush the passer in sub packages. And, every once in a while he pops in there and has like a huge game like he did either last year or 2 years ago against Dallas when he had like 6 sacks. Remember that game?
Wow. Yeah.
When Tyron Smith was out, Adrian Claiborne kind of took over.
That was when he was with Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's when against Dallas they refused to adjust. It was kind of like the Winston Justice game.
Mm-hmm.
I remember talking to the Cowboys then. Some of the coaches. It's a long story, but this is what happens when coaches are not on the same page with each other. But nevertheless, So the key here is if the Eagles can protect. Now we don't know about it's not like Wentz hasn't thrown with a wet ball before. But if the conditions are at least favorable enough for him to throw, there will be plays there. I'll tell you what, the Browns do not have a very good secondary. Ward's a very good player, number 21. Terrence Mitchell starting for Greedy Williams. Williams is on injured reserve. He's been out for a while.
Yeah, that's the spot they got to attack.
And how about this one? Because they might be the only NFL team not to have a free safety.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Sendejo is only a box player, is having to play free because they don't have one. Well, remember, they're down 2 safeties. They're down Grant Delpit, who what did he get, an Achilles? He's out for the season with a torn Achilles.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
And they've got another kid, another rookie who got hurt, who's not playing right now, who would be in there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's killed them. And again, if the Eagles can protect, their plays there, and obviously Wentz has got to be accurate. So, when you're watching this game, folks, I got to take my shot plays. You got to do it. The other thing is their linebackers are very average. You're going to see BJ Goodson, formerly the Packers and Giants.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see him there. But again, if the Eagles protect, and that's the key thing here. Now, here's a question to you. Let me flip back to you. Even if Ertz does play or doesn't play, let's just look at it this way. And I know Goddard's been playing a lot in line because they've wanted to help the offensive line. I get that. But, man, I got to get Goddard out there. These linebackers, their linebackers are less than average in coverage. They're just okay. They're better than the Eagles, obviously. But Mac Wilson, you might remember him from Alabama. He's okay. He's an okay player, but I'll tell you what, there's some opportunity here if the Eagles want to get Goddard involved. In fact, they should if they need to get him involved.
Well, this is the issue. Here's the problem that I think faces Doug Peterson and the offensive coaching staff, right? I agree with you. Whenever you see that a team has two box safeties as their normal safeties and that they should be able to get beat over the top, you want to take advantage of that. However, the Eagles coaches have been just trying to get, Carson to kind of crawl before he walks here. And, they came out against the Giants and a lot of their routes were vertical, especially on third down, and Carson was not in rhythm. And it's not like the Giants secondary is that good either. So what they have to balance is how aggressive they think they can be with downfield shots when they have a quarterback who's kind of fighting himself, not seeing a clear picture. Usually their antidote usually for Carson's being erratic is to get the ball out of his hands, do a little tempo, get it going quick, roll him out. A lot of short, like they did against San Francisco, and then maybe open it up. So I would love for them to kind of come out like they did against Washington and try to hit over the top and over week one. But I just don't trust. I don't think Doug can go in and call his normal game right now. I think he's got to get Carson back to a level that's acceptable and then kind of open it up from there.
Yeah, I agree. But I'll go to your San Francisco game plan. Mm-hmm. Short to intermediate, get him comfortable. I can never tell because Peterson's relationship with the media is comical lately because he's been so sarcastic and being obnoxious.
Right.
Because it was a very fair question. One of the reporters asked about rolling Carson out. I think he was serious and said, yeah, it's probably a good idea. But again, with him now, who the hell knows if he meant it or not? But that's one of the things that Carson has been very clear since they drafted him. He's damn good when he rolls out for the most part. He's just comfortable at it. Mm-hmm. I want to see more of that. I do, and this is an opportunity to do it. And by the way, with Garrett on the other side, they got to help him. They got to help against him, and I'd like to see that.
So my other thought is that the Browns are the third worst team in the NFL on third down defensively, and they just can't. They don't seem to stop the opponent.
Well, it's really weird. I don't have the stats in front of me, but they didn't mention that to me. But what they said was there aren't a lot of third and longs. It's whatever it is. It's like maybe they're just not the third down plays are not as long as you think. So teams are able to get them.
Well, good. Then get your running game going. Have Miles get 5 or 6 yards of carry and set up those second and fours or third and threes.
There's an opportunity here for the Eagles again if they can protect and if they want to get Sanders involved like they did last week. I mean, you could have done more, but as you said, they were behind. Sanders was terrific. I mean, I've now talked like a half a dozen people. They all thought he was awesome. One term that one guy gave me was, boy, did he fit the hole really well. So decisive and squeezed it. And he needs to get the ball. And the other thing is, and I know that he had some issues in pass protection, and he also dropped 2. I saw one. Someone else said he said maybe he dropped 2. But nevertheless, he's got to be lethal in the pass game where he is terrific. They just got to keep doing it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that this is a good game to attack with your running backs, attack with your tight ends, try to set up those short third downs. And look, I'll tell you this, Adam, if Carson Wentz doesn't have a good game, again, if he's just way off and things aren't right, I know Doug will get criticized, and I'm sure he'll deserve it as well. But it's going to be, if it's not already, it's going to be hard for me to believe he's going to come back to some kind of, really good player form the rest of the year against teams that are going to be a lot tougher than the Browns. I mean, this is you thought the same of the Giants, but this is like kind of a red carpet thing for you to do better. This is not a great defense.
Although I would disagree with your Giants comment in terms of their Giants defense they're playing really well. Like really, the last 3 weeks, I know they were terrible to start the season.
No, they're playing better, but really, I mean, how many points did they give up to the Buccaneers? 26?
Bucks have maybe the best group of 4 receivers right now, or 5. Actually, they're super deep. Plus, with Gronk,
Yeah, well, the Eagles have enough weapons. I mean, they should be able to score.
I agree, but the Eagles have so many issues now in their offensive line. They're not. Look, they got the issues in the interior. We didn't talk about Seumalo.
But wait, the Eagles should not have it because if Seumalo is back, then you've got Peters, Seumalo, Kelsey, and Lane John. That's 4 of the 5 guys.
That's if, right? And he hadn't played for 2 months, but yeah, they're certainly going to be better if he's himself.
Yeah,
I do agree though. The plays are there to be made. I actually think the Giants' defense, in certain terms, is better than Cleveland. Cleveland's talent in the back end, other than Ward, is not very good. It's just that they've been.
Ward is very good. You mean?
He's very good.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
he's the only guy really in the back 7 that you worry about.
Right.
They give up plays, but they're a feast or famine. They've caused a lot of turnovers. That Colt game, it was Philip Rivers was just giving it to him. But it's a fascinating chess match. You just really wonder, as you've been saying for weeks, at some point, Wentz is going to play to a level where they could certainly win because he has flashes. I don't know if this will be the week because that's the point where I am with him. I don't know when that's going to be because he just has not been able to play consistent football.
All right. I think maybe then you almost helped me make my point. If you think the Giants have a better defense than the Browns, then that's all the more reason to say
they have Garrett. They have Garrett. That's the one thing
they do have Garrett. They do have Garrett.
He is a home wrecker. I'm sorry?
You can game plan against that as your.
Well, that's what I asked you. So here's my question. Let's do our 11-12 personnel argument. Do you go 12? Again, if Zach doesn't play, or whether he plays or not, me personally, I want to go 11. Just reading between the lines, it sure sounds like Doug likes that. But what would you do? Would you go 11 or 12?
I'd go 10, man. I would go 10, no huddle, and just because when you have empty backfield, the quarterback knows he's got to get the ball out of his hands in less than 3 seconds.
Wow.
So force the issue with Carson.
Okay.
Force the issue.
Wow.
Here's what I wonder. I think coaching, and I'm fascinated by the dynamic of how everybody just moves on after Monday, right? Like Monday is your corrections day. You go through the tape, you get your quote unquote tough love coaching if you didn't play well, or you get it off because you won and everybody loves you. And then Tuesday is a day where the coaches do all the tapes that the players are off, right? The coaches study the tape, they come up with a plan for what they want to do on throughout the week. So Wednesday the players come back, and it's almost like, the way I understand it, it's almost like Wednesday is the start of a new year. Like, you don't even think about what happened the past Sunday.
So the thing is, it's funny when I ask personnel people, hey, when I talk to coaches, because they're trying to juggle, as you said, they're moving forward. So sometimes they're like, hey, man, that just happened. Let's move on to this week. You got any questions about our opponent? I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it must feel like the biggest elephant in the room for Doug and Carson and the offensive staff when it's Wednesday and you're preparing for the Browns, but you've played like crap as a team for 6 weeks, and they're trying to get you to lock in on the things that you haven't been doing well. But really, that's Monday's news. Like Wednesday, you're just trying to beat the Browns, right? You're trying to.
But off of that last game, they'll learn, hey, you know what? We got to get Carson to do this. He's really good at this, and we've talked to Carson about it.
Right.
Because there's some throws that he likes. All quarterbacks, the quarterback coach asks, hey, what do you want? What do you want? This is what they do. These are the percentages. This is what has worked against this defense. What do you like? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a typical conversation. And right. I'll tell you what, man, there's some opportunity here. So we talked about Sanders. I could certainly see him making some plays against these linebackers. Mm-hmm. I don't care if Sanders got 5 targets, only 2 catches. You can't go away from him in the pass game. He's so explosive.
It's been very disappointing for me to see that they don't use him enough as a receiver.
It's on the coaches. It's on the coach. I know we know he's missed time. Now the receivers, Geoff. This is interesting. We were outlining how Cleveland gives up plays and they don't even have a free safety. Obviously, they have to protect. Now we'll see what the conditions are in terms of the rain. Mm-hmm. I'm going to attack them. I like your point about coming out, being a little get Carson accurate early, get him comfortable, like in the San Francisco game. Then take your shots. I do want to see Goddard involved more. If you're blocking well, get Goddard involved. He is an absolute mismatch against their linebackers. The tight ends have to get the ball more. Period. End of story. Come on.
Right. And by the way, you come out in 10.
Not just Richard Rodgers, by the way.
you force the defense to be in nickel or dime, and if the Browns have nothing but a bunch of box safeties and can't cover, then they've got to throw two cornerbacks on the field in place of maybe one or two of those safeties that are probably not equipped to cover a guy like Dallas Goedert or a guy on the inside like Rager if you move him in there, or even Fulgham. So, yeah, I would do – obviously, you're never going to play 10 personnel, 50, 60% of the game, but I would try to come out in that to start to set the tone.
Here are your corners, okay? Terrence Mitchell, who's a starter opposite Ward because Greedy Williams is out.
Yeah, he was bad in Kansas City.
Very average corner. Kevin Johnson, a former first-round pick who's slight of build. MJ Stewart, you might remember, has some talent. He used to be with the Bucks. He was cut. It's not a bad idea. I hadn't even thought of it. I'd do a little of that, but I definitely would like to do some 11. I mean, not just some, a lot. Now I want Goddard in pass routes. They got to do that.
Yeah, listen, I think that's the point is you can stretch the field, but I would like normally in 10, what you're doing is peppering the defense. You're going no huddle and you're starting to hit them here, hit them there, hit them there. You know what I'm saying? With
Cardinals
the short
offense,
stuff.
Cardinals they run
oh
more
my God,
wide.
They play more 10 than anybody. They are true air raid now, right?
Now, every once in a while, they'll take their shot plays or a Hail Mary that won a game. But, yeah, that's a good point, man. And, by the way, the Eagles have the personnel to do it because right now, obviously, Jeffrey and Rager and Fulgham and Ward. Then if Hightower's available, he's your fifth receiver.
Well, he should be. He's not even on the list. So, yeah, he should be fine.
Right. So, as long as they don't put him on there. Yeah, sure. That's good thought.
All right. You ready to move on from the offense and get to the defense?
Yep.
All right, before we do that, Week 10 of football is in the books, and now it's time to review the tape and get ready for Week 11. There's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. To add to the excitement of Week 11, DraftKings Sportsbook is bringing back their can't-miss offer. If you haven't tried DraftKings Sportsbook yet, head to the App Store now because you don't want to miss this. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new users the chance to earn a sign-up bonus up to $1,000 when signing up using that promo code ITB. DraftKings Sportsbook has endless ways for you to bet, from live betting to betting on your favorite players. They do it all. Don't worry if football's not for you. DraftKings is giving all MMA fans who sign up now the chance to triple your winnings for any bet placed on UFC 255. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit your money and withdraw your money at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code ITB when you sign up and get up to $1,000. That's code ITB to get a deposit bonus up to $1,000 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Bonus comprised of a first deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Eagles defense against this, it's almost like a hot and cold Browns offense. 1 week they're playing the Bengals and scoring like 40-some-odd points, and then
the Cowboys
obviously
too.
Last week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the Cowboys. And then, and again, the weather has played. I think last week was totally due to the crazy wind and rain that they had to play in. But they only, what was the score last week? It was something
10-7.
10-7. So obviously you got to stop the running backs, Adam. I mean, this is not a no-brainer here.
No. With OBJ gone, it's Landry. They tell me that they go. They're a big. Their base defense, offense is 12 personnel. They're going to go 13 personnel. They love their tight ends, man. Austin Hooper's back from his emergency appendectomy.
Oh, wow.
Remember, he was gone for 2 weeks.
Yep.
He moved from, believe it or not, and I don't know why they did this. He was their Y tight end, which is their inline tight end to start the season. In recent weeks, I'm told he moved to F, which is their move tight end. They'll use Njoku outside because they use Rashard Higgins a little bit outside. They don't have Donovan Peoples-Jones is another guy that who they've used before. but they just don't have a lot of depth at receiver, and it's really a tight end dominated offense because that's all they have.
Right.
So right now, if you're the Browns, you got to get guys out there. I mean, you got to use tight ends, and that plays into the Eagles. Now, how if you're the Eagles, knowing that they're going to be tight end dominated, and their running game is called the wide zone. Stefanski uses the same exact thought process because he learned it, I'm told, from Gary Kubiak.
Mm-hmm.
So it's same stretch runs. We saw this all the way with Peyton Manning and Edgerrin James. There's certain rules that you're taught as a linebacker. Listen to your coaches. They use the wide zone, stretch play, roll Baker Mayfield out left, roll him out make him comfortable. That's it. That's their offense. But you know what? It works. And Baker, he's had a couple rough patches, but overall he's gotten better. Now, as you said, the last couple games, you could throw the pass game out because it's too windy. But they've got, I'll tell you what, another thing is they've got an offensive line, man, so good. They got one. They got a top 5 offensive line. This Wyatt Teller, number 77, who was out with a grade 2 calf strain. He came back, I think, last week. He's a really good football player. They acquired him in a trade from the Bills. He's been a great story for them. Treader, you know about. Petonio was a stud.
Mm-hmm.
The left tackle Wills is playing well, their first-round pick. And now the only problem is, okay, they got a couple guys on COVID. Jack Conklin's on the COVID list.
Mm-hmm.
Hubbard, their top backup offensive lineman, is on the COVID list. So
isn't their fullback also on COVID list?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, they also told me they play a lot of 22 personnel.
Yeah.
With Andy Janovich, who's there. They made that trade last year for the full, or earlier this year because Stefanski wanted a fullback. So that's a problem, man, because they want less than 30 attempts. The way it's explained to me, they like to have less than 30 attempts, pass attempts for Mayfield. Well, if you can't run it and the weather holds up, you might have to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, they're like a cross between the Vikings and the 49ers, like you mentioned, a lot of that outside zone. And, of course, Kevin Stefanski, he was the offensive coordinator last year in Minnesota. So he brought that similar style of attack here. And they're still doing it in Minnesota really successfully with one running back in Dalvin Cook. And here in Cleveland, they're doing it with 2 excellent running backs. And so I look at the Browns and I say, man, they're kind of a one-dimensional team offensively, but the one dimension that they have, that ability to hit you with the running back or hit you with a good slot receiver in Jarvis Landry, is really like the area that the Eagles seem to struggle with most. I mean, your linebackers and your interior coverage, Nickel Roby-Coleman has not been great this year. These guys are going to be the ones that you're going to be relying on most. You expect Slay to be able to hold down whoever's on the out, Higgins or whoever they put out there, and Maddox probably won't get targeted much, but it's going to be on your NRCs and on your linebackers.
I am fascinated to see what Schwartz does here because you're not worried about their pass game at all. Landry's a terrific slot receiver, really is. He's playing with a lingering hip injury, which he's had for months. But Chubb doesn't get the ball in the pass game. Hunt does. They both had equal amount of carries last week. It was interesting, 19 apiece. Chubb is a stud, and they love Hunt. That's why they extended his contract despite his off-the-field history.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, this is like Minnesota. If you get them behind, you're going to win. In fact, you might roll on them. But if you get behind, they kill you softly with that run game, man. They just keep doing it. And that stretch play, man, with a wide zone, it's killer, man. If you don't play your keys well, and goodness knows, Geoff, they haven't. Now,
right.
Since OBJ's not here, you do wonder who's going to do the end around, who's going to do this ghost motion, because it's coming.
Right. You just don't have to fear it probably as much, although that's when they'll probably pull it out on somebody. It's a guy like Rashard Higgins.
Taylor. I got it. Taywan Taylor.
He is their piece. Yeah.
Well, number 10. He used to be. I remember him. He's fast. He used to be with the Titans.
Oakland, right? Oh, I thought it was Oakland. Was it Titans?
No, Titans. Taywan Taylor. He was drafted by the Titans.
Oh, right.
He's fast, and I'll tell you what, they're going to do something because if I'm the Browns coaches, and I see what I see on tape, the Eagles are so bad with misdirection and these. You saw what happened again. I mean, they've gotten hosed so many times with the linebackers not reading their keys or on the zone read. The guy crashes down in the wrong area, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to see what happens. But it's Yet the Eagles have such a fascinating schedule here. Not just this game, Green Bay, New Orleans, Seattle. Oh my God! I mean, I'll tell you what. Eagles may not be a very good football team, but man, those teams that they're playing are.
Yeah, they definitely are. And think about this. I mean, you mentioned the defensive ends crashing down. They were doing that against Wayne Gallman and Alfred Morris, right? I mean, Hunt and Chubb are guys that you do want to play that, right? You got to be afraid of them. So I wouldn't surprise me if Stefanski at least tried one or two zone read plays with Baker Mayfield, who, as we know, is very athletic.
For sure.
And I don't know if he's done that a lot this year, but how do you watch the tape and not try it at least once?
No, they'll do some of that. But it's. I'll be interested to see what Schwartz does here. It's really a tactical matchup between Stefanski, who calls the plays, and obviously Schwartz's defense. And Joe Woods, the D coordinator, who's been around a long time. He was a former D coordinator for the Broncos, one of the best D-back coaches in the National Football League. He was, as I said, with the Niners. They do some wide nine. I look forward to this. This is a very winnable game, but we know the Eagles continue to underachieve, and it's the quarterback's got to play better. The coaches have to manage him better. I don't know what else to say. We've talked about this. I don't know how many times now.
Yeah, no. One thing about your point about if you can get up on them, you can roll on them because they're not a very gifted offensive team. I just wonder about a team like the Eagles, their ability to even get up on them that much.
Only because
No, I'm not even talking about because the Eagles themselves struggle offensively. I'm talking about what the Browns do well is obviously with running the ball is that they limit time of possession for the other team because they possess the ball for a long time. So and the Eagles, when they're good, actually used to be great at time of possession as well. So this should be kind of a really interesting game to see which team is able to kind of control the ball. This could be a very low scoring game.
Oh, it should be.
Not normally the other way, but
now the only way it won't be if there are a lot of turnovers.
Right. That's the point I wanted to make. If the Eagles can force some turnovers, I can see them being able to do the rolling on them if everything's going well for them. And Geoff, vice versa.
Yes, and you never know with Wentz. The old Carson Wentz could wake up and you go, holy bleep. Wow, he had it going on today.
Right.
The Pittsburgh game was fascinating because for parts of it, he played extremely well. Like, it looked like the 17 Wentz. But as you've been telling our listeners all season, he has not played a good to very good game from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a good quarter, as we saw in Washington. It could be a good half. But he just can't string it together for whatever reason. And I thought Bill Polian had some interesting thoughts. Some of the stuff you and I have talked about before. But the Browns think, I'll give you this now. I'm going to have a lot for our pregame show on Sunday, which I'm holding, but I want to give a nugget out here.
Mm-hmm.
Browns say to me, it's the healthiest he's looked in 3 years. He's moving well. His arm strength is still elite, but you got the other stuff that you got to get through. But there's nothing wrong with him physically, which was good to hear because that's coming from teams' honest evaluation from his coaching tape.
Mm-hmm.
And that I was interested to hear that because we haven't talked about Carson's health because remember people said he was too heavy when he put on all that weight, and then they were looking for the narrative to say why he was struggling early on. We shot that down. That was not factual. That had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, if he didn't put on those pounds in the offseason and bulk up, he might be dead by now. I mean, who knows?
Honestly, with the contact that he's taking, not good, man. Not good.
Not a recipe for success.
Nope.
All right. Anything else we want to mention about this matchup? I think we covered the linebackers, the D line. We're obviously always expecting a lot each week from the interior D line. With
they got to bring it, man. Boy, were they bad last week.
Yeah, but this is a tough team to do it against because they're, as you mentioned, Shredder is a good center, and the two
they're
guards.
Really good.
Antonio
I know. They got to bring it. They got to bring it. And we mentioned on Monday, the Eagles apparently didn't have their D line coaches during the week. I have no idea how much that impacted, if at all.
Right.
They're just the performance of the D line, but I'm assuming those guys are back. I've not heard that they're not. I'll check on that, by the way, for Sunday. But it's going to be a fun game. No one thought the Browns would be this good, and I still I don't want to call them a fraudulent 6-3, but I don't think they're good. They're as good as the record would indicate. But they're a front-running team. They get a lead, you're in trouble.
There you
they
go.
Don't, you're up by 10 or more, you might crush them because Mayfield is not built to throw the ball a lot. When he plays within structure, he's pretty good, but you don't want him thrown a lot, and that's kind of my mantra. That's pretty much what I've gathered from talking to them.
Yeah, I got to say, Kevin Stefanski should probably be in the conversation depending on, so far at least for Coach of the Year. He's done an excellent job. I mean, they're the Browns. I know. If you have the Browns 3 games over 500, you've done something amazing.
Covering the Browns since 2000 and all the ownership changes and all the issues. The thing about Jimmy Haslam is this. He's got a lot of issues, and they've been outlined, been written about. He's an extremely passionate guy, and he cares, and he's willing to spend money. If he just stays out of it, and so far I'm told he has, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski could grow this thing because they're 2 really good people. Mm-hmm. Kevin is about as down-to-earth and as eagleless as they get. His first job ever was actually with the Eagles. He went to Penn. He went to St. Joe's Prep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's pretty damn. As I think Joe Judge went there, right?
Yes, and
Sean Joe Judge did not. He went to North Lansdale Catholic.
Yeah, he went to Lansdale Catholic, and Sean McDermott went to LaSalle, but he was right. But there's another suburbs also. Yeah,
there's also someone else famous who went to St. Joe's. People will tell us. Let me know. I can't remember now, but anyway, it's going to be fun. We'll see what happens here. If the Eagles could put it together a game from beginning to end, who knows how well they could play because they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We will see. All right, it's time for our favorite part of the podcast here, Adam, where we give our predictions and then ultimately fall flat on our faces. Let me just tell our friends, if you want to put the wager down on DraftKings right now, the Eagles are 3-point underdogs, which is I would love to
be more than that.
I would love to research the last time the Eagles were underdogs to the Cleveland Browns. It's got to be. I mean, I know they don't play each other all the time. They're once every 4 years,
they're 6-3. No, my personal line would have been 5 or 6, probably 5.
Oh, so you're okay. You're saying by the Browns should be.
Because they played better. Now, if the Eagles ever played up to their potential because this roster is so much better than the record, that's a different story. But they don't.
Well, the plus 143 in the money line on the Eagles, if you're upset minded and you think the Eagles aren't as bad as they are and that the Browns are overrated, that plus 143 in the money line looks very enticing. And the over under on DraftKings is 47.5. So that's interesting. That's a little higher than I thought it would be because, last week was 44.5 and the Browns.
Did you say 47.5?
47.5.
I would go. I would again, unless there are a bunch of turnovers, that game's going under. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked, but then again,
it's your turn. Do tell. Give us a score.
Yeah, I'm going to go. The Brownies. 20.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles 17.
Now you just told me you thought the line should have been 5, and then you're still making it a 3-point win anyway. I love it.
I'm just saying that's what I would have opened it up with.
I got you. Well, it might have. I don't remember what it opened. Yeah. I think it was at 4.5 at one point. Don't quote me on that.
But again, how the game flow? I think it's a low scoring game.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think the Browns are as good as their record would indicate. That again, they've had an interesting schedule to say the least. But that was a great game. They beat a good Colt team. Much earlier in the season. Colts are better than the Browns right now. But it's a tight game. I just don't trust the Eagles to win. I just don't. You could put this game in a high school field. The quarterback's got to right himself.
Yeah.
They just cannot play well on both sides of the football the same game. They haven't been able to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you and I are on the same page. I see a low-scoring game. I see a close game. I have the Browns winning 24-20. So I'm right there with you.
God, you went under for the first time.
I did. No, not first time, but I've gone under a lot this year, surprisingly. But look, to me, this is about trust right now. And look, I get it. Last year, the Eagles lost 3 games in a row, the third being Miami. So there would have been no reason to trust them at all. And then they turned it around in December. That's great. I'm not there. So if they beat the Browns, then maybe I'll reevaluate how they're going to do the following week against Green Bay, right? That's the next team up. But right now, I don't trust it.
Week number 12, the Eagles are.
I think it's Green Bay, then New Orleans.
Nope, Seattle.
Ah, man, why do I keep forgetting? Oh, man.
Seattle,
even
Philly.
If they beat the Browns, I'm not.
That's the Monday night game. Yeah, that's the Monday night game. Ooh, we may have a surprise guest.
Oh, I can't
Monday
wait.
night. I'm not giving it away. It's a big one if we get it. The guy. It's just
there. You go.
Folks, we're doing it all for you. We're trying to do some special stuff, and we're just trying. Hey, we're shooting for the moon here. Worst people could say is no, right? So
that's what we do. Exactly. All right. So you and I project a slight Browns win. 24-20 me, and you were 2017. We'll talk about it more on Sunday when it's me, you, Trey Thomas, and Greg Cosell at the Goose Island Brewhouse starting at 10 a.m. Make sure you catch us again on our Inside the Birds YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter platforms. For Adam Caplan, I'm Geoff Mosher, and I do have to give a big thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check out his work on YouTube, Sports Talk with Broads.
Man, he goes after it. He goes after it, man.
He does. And check out, we've been doing a little stuff on the side now.
What do you
Broads and Mosh show.
So what do you call it?
We call it Broads and Mosh.
Broads and Mosh. And now I got to ask this because I'm a diehard Sixer fan.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, give me 30 seconds on the Sixers draft and everything they did.
All right. I'll give you the whole night, the trades and the draft. To me, I feel like it's like when you're at a wedding and you get that really good bacon wrapped in shrimp appetizer. It's so good. It's great. You love it, but you also know that there's a main course ahead, right? You want more. And so I'm really happy with the movie.
More? What else do you want them to do?
Well, listen, they're better because they got rid of bad contracts that don't fit, but you look at them right now. And? You look at them right now, they're not ready to beat Boston and Miami. There's
did they not address the shooters?
But that's my point. They did, but there's got to be more. Those guys, look, I mean, yes,
the rookies, I get it, but
Seth Curry's a good shooter, but we're not talking about we're not talking about starters here. Maybe Seth if he has to, but those are just complementary players. They need a little more to be able to beat.
Well, they're going to look,
as
Morey said, with getting rid of those bad contracts. Well, not Richards wasn't as bad. This guy didn't fit.
Just didn't fit, right?
They moved him, and Horford didn't fit. What an awful contract. I was never a huge fan of Morey, but I've been unbelievably impressed, and I love. If you watch his media press conferences, he's so respectful, and he's got a great rapport with the media.
Yeah,
and I like him, man. I just thought his thought process with the Rockets. I understood what he was doing, but what he needs to understand is that, he said the Golden State Warriors would keep him up at night, and I get that, but he needs to understand if you're going to try to copy them, you got to play defense. Golden State, despite what everyone says about their offense, they play defense too in their heyday. Now they're shelved what they once were.
Right.
But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I was so impressed. I was shocked that they were able to move the Horford contract, and it made my day. I got to tell you, when the hell was that draft on Wednesday? I loved it, dude. I was so happy.
I want to love the Kentucky kid, but I'm afraid to. It's like every time you love a Sixers first round pick, he gets hurt, or he says, something
I
happened.
love the now again, he's very gifted though. He's a gifted kid, but he's not good enough shooter, and they seem to think he'll get there, but we'll see. But the other kids, the skinny kid from DePaul.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he could light it up, but man, he's skinny. But again, as you said, they're rookies. Give them time, but I'm excited because they finally got a bunch of shooters. Plus, they got. I know it's most likely they'll walk away from Green and the other kid from Oklahoma after 1 year. But anyway, I'm looking. Right. I love that the season will start in December. I love it. I can't wait.
Me too. Well, you can check out more of our Sixers talk and our Phillies talk and Eagles talk on Motion Broads, which is on Hunter Brody's Facebook. I'm sorry, Hunter Brody's YouTube page that I just referenced. Cool. Sports Talk with Broads. And as always, we thank all of you for flying with us inside the bird.